VFX artists have an extremely difficult job that is always pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The job requires patience, dedication, and incredible attention to detail. This having been said, heavy workloads, tight deadlines, and last-minute changes mean that speed is of the essence, and haste is a direct road to error. With that in mind, here are 10 CGI mistakes even VFX artists missed. 1. Watchmen. With any superhero film, VFX is an essential part, and Watchmen is no different. For the Dr. Manhattan scenes, they dressed the actor Billy Crudup in a mocap suit that had blue LEDs on it. This was done in order to cast blue light onto his fellow cast members so that they wouldn't have to do it in post-production. However, having been so insightful as to think of Dr. Manhattan's glow reflecting off his co-actors, it's a shame they didn't notice Billy Crudup in a mocap suit reflected in Night Owl's goggles. This reflection should have been substituted for Dr. Manhattan, or just painted out. It doesn't notice enough to ruin the magic until you know it's there, and now you do. You're welcome. 2. Avatar. Avatar was a blockbuster movie and a bit of a game changer as far as VFX are concerned, as you can see in this VFX breakdown of Avatar linked in this video's description. However, we have found a slight error. The Na'vi are larger than humans, and maintaining the scale difference between the two must have been difficult, but they managed it almost everywhere apart from this one scene. When Neytiri rescues Jake, her hand is a lot bigger than his head, but when Jake touches her face and she brings her hand up, it's a similar size to his. 3. The Hobbit. As with any fantasy film, especially one from the world of Tolkien, this movie required extensive VFX and a lot of work went into the battle between the elves and the dwarfs. When creating a CG army, it's fairly common practice to use clones of the same soldier, or slight variations in scenes where you don't see their faces. Unfortunately, in this scene, you do see their faces and they look the same. Maybe they missed it, or maybe they just ran out of time. Either way, it's not something you expect to see in a big budget movie. 4. Avengers Endgame. Another amazing superhero movie with amazing VFX and an amazing VFX breakdown, links in the description, is Avengers Endgame. And judging by the insane amount of VFX in this movie, it's incredible that we could only find this tiny little error. When Thanos is just about to use his Infinity Gauntlet, if you watch extremely closely you can see the base of the middle finger slides into his palm. This is such a tiny error that you have to watch it various times to see it, but it's there. 5. Cats. Cats was a movie with some VFX. Actually, Cats is the perfect example of what can happen when you don't give VFX the importance and the time they deserve. After firing Mill Farm 6 months in, director Tom Hooper then gave MPC the impossible task of completing in 4 months to be in time for awards consideration. Even putting in 90-hour weeks wasn't enough, as the movie is still filled with errors. Perhaps the biggest are the transitions between fur and hands. In this scene, you can see Judi Dench's wedding ring, which, to be honest, she shouldn't really have been wearing during filming. 6. Venom. Venom was a great movie with awesome VFX, and if you'd like to see how those VFX were done, be sure to check the link in the description of our very own VFX breakdown of Venom. Intricate animation was required in addition to complex stunts, and perhaps the fact that it was all done so well is why this era stands out. At the start of the film, an ambulance gets taken over by a symbiote and crashes. However, something about the crash just doesn't look right. The ambulance comes to a very abrupt stop and looks as if it should have slid or maybe rolled over again. The sudden end to the van's inertia just doesn't sell the shot. 7. Ready Player One. This film has an incredible amount of VFX, over 90 minutes of screen time, so with such a huge amount of work to do, it wouldn't be surprising if there was an odd error here and there. What is surprising is that we could only find one. When Parzival races to find the first key, he gets close enough to see the finishing line. When he comes back to the race later and wins, we see the finishing line again, but it's changed. Eight, 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. This film goes to show that in order to make a good movie, you don't need a massive budget and hundreds of special effects. But if you are going to have special effects, do them right. Union VFX did a fairly decent job on most of the VFX in this film, apart from the deer. Even though they filmed a real deer in front of a blue screen, they didn't get the lighting right. On the first shot, the scene is overcast, but the deer looks as though it's illuminated by the sun. In the next shot, the sun is shining left to right, and yet the right side of the deer is illuminated. Confusing. Nine, Rampage. The VFX teams did an incredible job creating giant creatures that destroyed everything in their path, which is probably why this era kind of stands out. At the film's climax, The Rock has to jump out of a plane and then open his parachute. And that's where it gets weird. It looks as if his face distorts and looks as though it's CG, though we're not sure why you'd CG The Rock's face onto a stunt double rather than just have The Rock himself hanging in front of a rig, but there you go. In Time. This medium-budget film was just that, medium. It received okay reviews, did okay at the box office, and its VFX were okay too, until the car crash scene. Here we see the car's tyres burst and it goes off the road and rolls down the embankment. When it first goes off the side, it looks like a toy car. It then rolls down the slope with a surprising lack of passengers and respect of the laws of physics. And at the end loses all of its inertia and regains its passengers. To be honest, they probably would have been better off just having a car run off a road and then cutting to them at the bottom. Please give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, as always, the links to the music are in the video description, and be sure to let us know in the comments if there were any mistakes that we missed.